Picture this. You're at a Coldplay concert, snuggling with your girlfriend in your suite. Life's good, but out of nowhere, Coldplay shines the kiss cam on you in front of the world. Now you're embarrassed, you're red in the face because you're the CEO of your company and your girlfriend is the HR chief of your company. Normally, this is something you laugh off with your PR team on Monday, but you went viral. So what do you do when your wife finds out about your girlfriend? That's tough. But as much as I would love to kick your back in, I'm actually here to understand you and around 1 billion people on this planet who cheat on their partner, because the world can't get better if we don't try to understand each other. People think cheating is about sex, but research says otherwise. 88% of people who cheat say it's because they feel emotionally unfulfilled. Not because they're bored, but because they feel invisible. And most cheaters aren't even in bad relationships. They're in a relationship where they don't know how to be honest, where being seen feels more threatening than being secretive. So they chase validation that they don't have to earn. We call that attention without accountability. What we saw go viral was not lust. It was the illusion of being chosen without the risk of being known. We gotta break this down using the 5 whys. Why cheat? Because it feels good to be wanted. Why do they want to be wanted? Because it helps them feel powerful. Why is power important? Because power means control. And why do they need control? Because when they don't have control, they feel weak. Accidentally got there in 4 whys. Studies show nearly half of adults say they rarely feel emotionally understood by their closest relationships. I think it's fair to assume that the person someone marries is their closest relationship, right? But that spouse doesn't see the performer. They see the person underneath it. So instead of asking to be loved, they build a version of themselves that looks impossible to reject. The person with all the fame, all the money, all the respect, the socialite, and before they know it, someone's falling for the version of themselves that they created to feel strong, to feel important. But that person isn't loving them. They're feeding the ego that was built to survive, feeling unwanted. But it doesn't matter. They cash in their spouse's trust. They cash in their spouse's self-esteem for that sweet, sweet validation they just can't get enough of. You might be listening to this right now and thinking, I would never cheat. I've never done that. But slow down. Have you ever exaggerated your job just to feel important in conversation? Have you ever posted something on social media hoping it would prove that you matter, even if it wasn't true to yourself? Have you ever stayed late at work because being needed felt safer than being overlooked? Have you ever built a version of yourself around achievement, hoping no one would notice how lost you would feel without that? Have you ever eaten junk food, not because you were hungry, but because you were trying to fill that empty void inside of you? You might not cheat in a relationship, but a lot of us, we cheat ourselves chasing the performance of perfection, because deep down, we're not afraid of failure. We're afraid that without the wins, the charm, the image, we won't be worth keeping around. You see, a lot of us don't cheat with our bodies, we cheat with our ambition. We build entire lives around being impressive just to avoid the fear that we're unlovable when we're just ourselves. Let's be real for a second. This guy probably told himself that he earned this. He's the one who bought the suite. He's the one who runs the company. He's the one who absorbs the pressure when no one else sees it. And in every room he walks into, he's the one who's expected to lead that room. He's the one who's expected to pay for everything. He's the one who's expected to fix all the problems. He's the one expected to keep the company together. He's the one expected to keep the company together. So when someone sees him, not the boss, not the role, not the CEO, not the bank, but him as a person, it doesn't feel like cheating. It feels like oxygen. It feels like being chosen, not for what he does, but for who he is. And maybe that's why he didn't stop, because when you're always needed, being wanted feels holy. High status people are significantly more likely to justify unethical behavior if it helps them maintain emotional stability or performance. What is the root of the issue behind cheating? Unfortunately, cheating is not just one symptom. The real issue runs deeper than lust or even loneliness. It starts way before the relationship even started. It starts when you're 13 and no one notices your sadness until you're funny, so you become everyone's favorite clown. It starts when you're 17 and someone says that you're being too much, so you start shrinking yourself just to keep being chosen. It starts with a lesson that you were never meant to learn. You are not enough unless you're useful, impressive, or perfect. So you keep becoming who your job needs, becoming who your friends want, and becoming who your partner expects. And one day, someone sees the version of you that makes you feel powerful again, and you mistake that feeling for love. But it's not love, it's relief. Relief from the pressure, relief from performing, relief from the fear that without all the extras, nobody would pick you. People don't always cheat because they're heartless. They cheat because they're hurting and terrified that if they ever stop performing, they'll lose everything. Cheating isn't always about desire. It's about defense. It's about proving you still matter, even if it means betraying someone who loved the version of you that you were too afraid to. In this case, the root of all evil is not cheating. It's the belief that if people saw you, the real you, the scared you, the lonely you, the flawed you, they would leave. So what do? You lie, you hide, you pretend confidence is connection. And when someone finally sees you, it all falls apart. Not because you got caught, but because you forgot how to be seen.